Driving past Daryl Gibbs' home in suburban Albury, you might catch sight of a unique-looking caravan. What you might not see is that it's actually a piece of Australia's aviation history. This caravan was once the Bungana, Australia's first modern commercial airliner, operated by Australian National Airways from 1936. But how did such a historic plane, which would have looked like this, end up in Daryl's front yard?
I was looking on Facebook on Marketplace at buses, and when I was thinking about it, and the first thing I saw there when I looked up there was a advertisement for a DC-3 caravan, and I thought I knew of one DC-2 which had been converted to a caravan, which was the Bungana.
In its heyday, the plane carried Australia's rich and famous.
It was mentioned most days in the newspapers around the country. When it first came out, it broke a lot of speed records, and lots of people were queuing up to fly in it. Governor-General went to Canberra, but politicians going for a flight, and Governor-General and his family and various people, when it came out, was big news.
10 years after it started flying, the Bungana was damaged and taken to Essendon Airport, where it was broken up for scrap metal. There were rumours the fuselage was converted to a caravan, but Daryl's online discovery was greeted with surprise by enthusiasts.
I was quite amazed because it just seemed to turn up out of the blue as an aircraft that had kind of disappeared. Everybody thought it had been scrapped back in the 1940s. And here it was, just turned up in Albury, of all places. I mean, it's just an amazing find. It's like an archaeological treasure turning up in terms of aviation history.
The significance of this plane isn't lost on them.
Aviation had only been done on a very small scale, and all the aircraft were essentially built of wood and canvas with maybe steel fuselages or biplanes, and they weren't terribly practical, and they weren't particularly modern. But all of a sudden, this is like a spaceship. This is like this all-metal low-wing monoplane, which came from the United States and really heralded a whole new era of aviation, and was the first airliner in Australia to actually have air hostesses, for example, and sort of practical modern conveniences like a galley and a toilet on board.
And by complete coincidence, David Crotty and a group of volunteers are rebuilding another DC-2, one of only 6 left in the world, at the nearby Albury Airport as part of the Iva restoration project.
The Bungana came a little bit after this one, but they would have both flown at the same time.
10 years ago, Daryl, who's an Air Force veteran, suffered a traumatic brain injury when his photography store was robbed and he was assaulted. Now relying on a carer, he says being a custodian of the Bungana and repairing the old girl has brought a lot of joy.
Having it just out the front here is good. I know that if in the future that I get sicker and the other arthritis and other stuff from the injury gets bad, that I can't move around too much, it's at home that I can come and do it still, which is really fantastic. It's been great.
So what are your plans with the Bungana?
I'd like to keep it. It sort of spent 10 years as an aircraft and then the rest of its life as a caravan. And I thought, well, it's an important part of its history. It makes it much more interesting. And, my main interest is in the aviation side of things. Like, when you look at it realistically out there, there's a hell of a lot of people out there interested in caravans nowadays. And I'd love to see it down the track go and loan to a museum or something around.
The Bungana's future no longer up in the air.